Hello everyone, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Phil.
And welcome to our Drinking and Driving series.
Here's a question for you. What do you get when you cross ego, ambition, and time travel? Why you get the DeLorean.
Welcome everyone to Drinking and Driving. Phil, what do you got going on here?
All right, so we've had this idea to do this series where we create our own cocktails. Just a fun thing. We're not professional mixologists, but we just thought, hey, this could be fun. We'll just use references and puns and make something that's probably going to end up being bad. And so around the Super Bowl, DeLorean, which still exists, released a tease. You probably saw it. So DeLorean, which still exists, is teasing a new version of their car. An electric version, very interesting. We know nothing about it at the moment, so we're not really going to go into that right now, but it's a perfect opportunity for us to start our series with the DeLorean. So what do you know about the DeLorean?
I know it was very underpowered. It was a failure. It was super heavy for being essentially an exotic sports car is what Mr. DeLorean wanted it to be. He wanted it to compete with the Porsches and Ferraris, and you just look at the specs of it, it was just too heavy and just too underpowered. Really the only exotic feature it had to it was, it had the engine in the back, right?
Yeah.
And then the gull wing doors.
It was designed by the same guy who designed the Lotus Esprit, and you can tell it has that wedge design. Mm-hmm. So John DeLorean was a very interesting guy. There's a documentary on Netflix. We can't cover everything about it, but he's got an interesting story. He came up poor. Joined Packard, eventually was there for a little while and eventually went to GMC, oversaw the Pontiac GTO, got promoted to he was the youngest division head in history of GMC at least, oversaw things like the Grand Prix and the Firebird. And eventually, he got promoted again, but it was just, he wasn't happy in that environment. He wanted to do his own thing. He was sort of considered a maverick in that world. He was ambitious, he had an ego, but he was very charismatic and likable. So he broke away in 73 and formed his own company, the DeLorean Motor Company. And so ultimately the DeLorean, which was released in 81, was a failure, but we are going to make a drink out of it anyway. We are going to use parts of the story to make this drink. So what we need is, you want glasses that, I'm going with some angular glasses because the DeLorean was a very angular designed car.
Oh yeah, so kind of like the wedge shape here,
Yep.
Like here's the front, lean to the back.
Yep. Now, John DeLorean was ultimately busted for cocaine smuggling. He was acquitted because it was considered entrapment. The government owned the cocaine that he was caught with, or at least caught meeting about. He was trying to save his company. He could have done it legally, but ultimately, he wanted to do it himself, so that's why he went down this road and ended up getting busted. So we've got powdered sugar, very obvious. It was such an 80s part of the story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
John DeLorean being busted for cocaine.
Yeah.
It's such an 80s thing. So to rim a glass with powdered sugar, you cannot do it traditionally. And I don't even know if anybody's done it this way. I'm sure we're going to stumble into things that people have done a million times, but we're not planning any of that. We're just jumping into it. So you just normally wet it with like simple syrup or citrus or something for like salt rims and stuff. Mm-hmm. This is powdered sugar. So we're just going to do our best to, look at that, to really get some powdered sugar on the rim. Oh, I've done this before and I did this practicing it, but it might not give us what we want this time. Good enough.
Yeah.
We just need a little bit.
I just need to take mine.
We just need a little bit of that sweetness.
And then we just kind
of wiggle it around, and
I like how it kind of like poofs.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. I'll use a little bit. It's not perfect, but hey, like I said, we're not professionals. We're just making something up as we go.
Yep.
Now, we're going to start. I just thought it'd be a good idea to do a steel gray colored cocktail. Sounds disgusting, but if you don't think of it as the brushed steel of a DeLorean.
Yep.
And so what we're going to do is We're going to start with 1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts! Great Scott!
Oh, gigawatts.
Now, the DeLorean, you cannot get away from its connection to Back to the Future. That's the only reason people still think of it and still want it. So 1 and it's 21.20, whatever. It's just eyeball it. So let me see the glass.
Yep. Here we go.
Have you had this black Sambuca?
No, I have not.
It's very licorice flavored. It's very divisive.
Well, I'm one of the few people that actually likes black licorice, so
Yeah,
I'll probably actually like it.
I don't mind it. It's a good mixer. But
Okay.
all right, so we got our 1.21 gigawatts. Now let's see. We need 1 ounce of Pepsi Perfect.
Okay.
This is not actually Pepsi Perfect. This is a Back to the Future 2 reference.
All I want is a Pepsi.
1 ounce of this. Yeah. There we go. This is not just a Voss water bottle with a sticker I found on Etsy slapped on it. This is from the future.
Yep. Okay, so
All right.
Pepsi Perfect,
Now,
1 ounce.
Back to the Future 3 involved the Wild West.
In here, we pour whiskey.
In the Wild West, whiskey was not like it is today. It was usually probably cheap and disgusting.
Right.
It just had one purpose: to get people drunk. Now we need 1 ounce of the cheapest whiskey possible. And that's what I got. I found the cheapest whiskey I could find. It's in a plastic bottle. It was about $6.
Okay.
And it has one purpose. Oh.
All right.
Right on his hand.
Right all over my hand.
Making a mess. I said we're not professionals. And now,
I'm just going to lick it off.
that's right. Finally,
Not too bad.
John DeLorean made the decision to, he was able to get financing originally for the project by going to the British government. Aside from dealers here in the States who were his initial investors, he got a lot of money from the British taxpayers, which, you know, for better or for worse, I don't know. But so he moved the assembly of it was in Ireland, war-torn Ireland to be exact. Mm-hmm. So there was a war going on between the Catholics and the Protestants.
Oh, yeah.
And he set up his factory there, bringing jobs to a lot of poor Irish people, which is good. But ultimately, part of the equation of the failure was the shipping, how expensive it is to ship and all that stuff. So we decided to use Irish cream to lighten this up to the gray color we want. Now, I just say add it until enough to lighten it.
Okay. I
And
see
then
it
you're
now.
you're just gonna have to see. I'll bring this over here. Stir it till you get that gray. Again, you might think it looks disgusting, but don't think of it in terms of a gray concoction. Think of it in terms of the color of the steel, that economical steel that he used to make the body out of, because he wanted it to be rust proof. And you know, you could paint it whatever you wanted, but last step. Set your clock to 10:04, the time that lightning struck the Hill Valley Clock Tower.
From Back to the Future.
Yep. Done. Now you can drink it. So here's
right.
to you, John DeLorean.
All right. The powdered sugar just gets all over you.
That powdered sugar on the rim does add a certain texture to it. You got a little bit there
Sure does.
on your mouth.
Yeah.
That's the risk you take. It's interesting. It's not terrible. It's not
Very
bad.
interesting.
It's very Irish cream forward. You get a little bit of that licorice Sambuca.
Yeah, for sure. I'm tasting that. Definitely tasting the Irish cream.
Not much of the soda, which maybe it's for the best, but it's not a bad made-up drink with no preparation involved.
Very interesting. For
Yeah,
sure.
it kind of fits the DeLorean profile. It's kind of interesting and fun to drink. It's not the best cocktail. It's not the most efficient cocktail. There's a lot of ingredients. It's messy. It's all that stuff, but it's kind of cool. I guess. I don't know. I mean, who are we to say what's cool and what's not? But that is the DeLorean way. It's not the most efficient or best sports car. It's not the fastest. It's slow. It's expensive. It's mostly just a pop culture icon, but it succeeds at being a cool car, a dream car for a lot of people, and especially people my age that grew up watching Back to the Future over and over again. We don't really care that it's not. People can say like, well, it's so slow, and it's like, nobody cares. That's not the point.
Yeah, you pull up in a DeLorean, people are gonna look.
Yep.
It's.
That's taking a drink on an empty stomach. That's a risk.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Also,
not advisable.
We call this segment "Drinking and Driving." We do not condone drinking and driving. Do not do that, and don't say that we told you to do it either.
Just a name. That's it.
Now, let us know in the comments if there are any cars you want us to cover as far as making a cocktail for. I have ideas of my own, like the Ferrari 308 from Magnum PI. I can already tell that's going to be a tropical drink.
Hawaii, tropical drink for sure.
The Firebird from
Smoking in a Bandit.
Yeah, there's something right there. So let us know. It doesn't have to be from a movie or anything. It can be Kit from Knight Rider. I've never seen the show, to be honest. I've seen the intro a million times, but we can try something.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, if you try this drink, let us know on our different social media platforms whether you like it or not. We're on Pivot, we are on Instagram, and we're also on Facebook. So we'll post the links to those social media accounts in the comments below.
That's right.
And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. So,
here's to you, John DeLorean. You were ambitious. Your ego got in the way. You ultimately failed, but you left a legacy of the DeLorean.
And let's hope the new DeLorean is more successful.
That's right.
Woo! Until next time, folks.
See ya.